A San Diego delegation addressing Mexico's Senate, and a new sign of collaboration along the border.
And so I really understand what stalking means and the fear that it instills in the victim.
California's top judge firing back her objections to a controversial immigration enforcement policy.
We live in a country where money and success is associated with happiness. The parents associate soccer with that.
For the love of the game, the country where parents are dreaming of pro soccer fame for their little players. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kenny Goldberg. President Donald Trump signed an executive order today that rolls back environmental standards put in place under the Obama administration. More than half a dozen measures will be suspended, rescinded, or flagged for review, including the Clean Power Plan, which restricts greenhouse gas emissions at coal-fired power plants. Trump says it'll save jobs.
My administration is putting an end to the war on coal. Going to have clean coal, really clean coal. With today's executive action, I am taking historic steps to lift the restrictions on American energy, to reverse government intrusion, and to cancel job-killing regulations.
Governor Jerry Brown was quick to respond. He released a joint statement with New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, saying, with this move, the administration will endanger public health, our environment, and our economic prosperity. Both California and New York have set aggressive goals to reduce emissions of greenhouse gas 80% below 1990 levels by the year 2050. President Trump is also calling for an immediate budget cuts of $18 billion to cover the down payment on the border wall. He wants taxpayers, not Mexico, to cover the initial costs. His proposal includes cuts to medical research, infrastructure, and community development grants. Democrats in the U.S. Senate want to keep that from happening and are urging Congress to reject the supplemental funding request. Kamala Harris, along with Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Bob Menendez from New Jersey, held a news conference today.
I believe that our caucus will do everything possible to make sure that U.S. taxpayer monies do not go to build a wall. President Trump said Mexico is going to build that wall. I don't believe we need a wall. As a member of the senior member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, this nation was founded and grew prosperous on freedom, not on walls.
Senate Democrats also plan to introduce legislation to ensure due process for those at risk of deportation and prohibit racial profiling. A new agreement could be a game changer for cross-border relations between San Diego and Tijuana. Leaders from both cities signed a historic memorandum of understanding today with Mexico's Senate.
By doing so, we'll be better able to inform you of what's actually happening in the region so that decisions made here are not done in a vacuum, but through collaboration.
I spoke with KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero via Skype. She's following the San Diego delegation in Mexico City. Jean, today the delegation went to the Mexican Senate and signed a memorandum of understanding. What is that all about?
So basically what the memorandum does is they created a working group that consists of San Diego and Tijuana business leaders and politicians, as well as members of the Senate, and they've promised that they will be meeting twice a year to collaborate on legislation that's related to immigration, trade, tourism, and border infrastructure specifically. So these are all issues that really affect the San Diego-Tijuana region, and so it's a pretty big step that they've made to be able to collaborate on that kind of legislation. And aside from the 2 meetings a year, they'll also be collaborating through conference call throughout the legislative process. And one other thing that's interesting is that the meetings, one of the meetings will take place in the San Diego-Tijuana region, so Senate leaders will actually travel here and be able firsthand what the local issues are, what's needed, and what they can do for the region.
I understand a few members of the delegation had a private meeting with the Mexican Foreign Affairs Secretary yesterday. What was the outcome of that meeting?
So the meeting in and of itself was really significant. The Chamber has never been able to get a meeting with the Foreign Affairs Minister himself. So just sitting down with him was a huge deal, especially because he's the point person on NAFTA renegotiations, and NAFTA is going to be huge for the San Diego Tijuana region. But in terms of actual concrete steps, Videgaray promised to take concrete steps to help port of entry infrastructure move forward in San Diego, Tijuana. For example, he's going to help the binational railroad move forward by issuing a diplomatic note to reestablish trade between the U.S. and Mexico at the Tecate Rail port of entry. And that is essential for the binational railroad, which has been delayed multiple times. And then the other thing he promised, which is pretty big, he promised to get funding from Mexico for Otay 2, which is a toll port of entry that's planned for 2020 or 2021. He said he was going to take a leadership role in terms of advancing that project with the Mexican federal government. There's still a lot that needs to be done, for example, purchasing the land on the Mexican side as well as the U.S. side, getting the revenue sharing agreement for how those tolls will be collected and distributed to reimburse the governments, and the design. So he said he was going to make sure that that moved forward.
Well, Jean, thanks very much.
Thank you, Kenny.
First, you don't succeed, try again. That's the attitude of House Speaker Paul Ryan. Less than a week after the effort to repeal Obamacare fell flat, Ryan says Republicans want to take another shot at it.
If Obamacare just stays as is, that's not acceptable for the American people. That's not what we said we would do. So we're going to go figure out how we get this done. And I think what's confusing to everybody is we have to use these Senate rules. We call them reconciliation. You know what that is? That means you can't pass the bill you really want to pass in the House because it gets filibustered in the Senate. You have to pass a bill in the House that can get through and prevent a filibuster. And it is that frustration that our members are grappling with right now.
Ryan didn't offer a timeline for a new repeal bill. A recent poll revealed 68% of Americans want to keep Obamacare and fix what isn't working. Just 32% support the GOP replace and repeal approach. Local health officials say a baby was born in San Diego County with the birth defect associated with the Zika virus, microcephaly. That's a condition that causes a baby's head to be small and underdeveloped. Health officials say the baby's mother was infected with the Zika virus while traveling in a foreign country. Officials say women traveling to Zika-infected countries should take extra precautions. No local mosquito-transmitted cases have been identified in California. California veterans will have access to expanded health care services if Republican lawmakers can advance a series of bills at the state capitol. One would improve service coordination between California's 8 veteran homes. Another would increase the state's ability to care for veterans with mental health issues.
Back in the day when I came back from Vietnam, there was no mental health services available for us veterans. In fact, if you seek mental health services, it was a taboo. No one talked about that secret.
Veterans who came to the state capitol in support of the bills say mental health services have improved dramatically since the Vietnam era. But despite those improvements, the VA reports an average of 24 servicemen commit suicide every day. Depending on your racial and ethnic background, you may be at higher risk for stroke, heart disease, and other ailments. A nonprofit in City Heights is working to educate residents about health issues that affect them specifically, and is hoping they take the information back to their communities. Maria Elena Aguilar with Project Concern International says she's seen this approach work before.
And they're getting used to change their habits also to have their regular checkups every year.
The 10-week program is free, and it's geared toward African American, Filipino, Somali, and Vietnamese communities. The program starts tomorrow. The San Diego Association of Governments is dealing with the fallout from mistakes made on a failed tax measure last year. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says 7 private firms are competing for the contract to lead an investigation into this scandal.
Sandag's Measure A tax proposal on last November's ballot was supposed to raise $18 billion over its 40-year lifespan. But that number of $18 billion was overstated, and so was the list of transportation projects that voters were told the tax measure would pay for. Sandag staff have admitted they made mistakes and are working to make their economic forecasting more transparent. But last month, the agency's board of directors commissioned an independent investigation into who knew about the revenue forecasting errors and why voters were still in the dark on Election Day. The deadline for firms to apply for the investigation contract was last Friday. Del Mar Mayor Terry Sinnott is part of a 3-member committee that's reviewing the proposals. He says they're looking at price, references, and experience.
I think there's a very strong desire to be very transparent so that everybody who has an interest in this or concern about it can see exactly what the review found out so we can all learn from it.
Sinnott says he can't reveal the names of the 7 firms that applied until the committee has made its recommendation. Well, that's expected to happen by the middle of next month. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
California researchers say increasing neighborhood density will help cities reduce the amount of greenhouse gases they generate. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has details.
A pair of UC Berkeley researchers tried to gauge the impact of different housing development strategies. They considered city planning that included no infill housing, plans that had some infill housing, and a strategy that focused planning efforts on increasing density in cities. The research was funded by the nonpartisan think tank Next 10. Founder Noel Perry says dense communities reduce the need to drive, and that put fewer greenhouse gases into the air.
What happens is that there will be a significant reduction in the number of metric tons of CO2 that go out per year, so that it'd be like taking 378,000 cars off the road.
Perry says it also makes economic sense to build housing that focuses on more units per acre. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
The price of cigarettes in California is going up on April 1st. That's the day when the state will raise its tobacco tax by $2 a pack. Voters gave their thumbs up to the tax increase last November when they approved Prop 56. Anti-smoking advocates say the higher price of cigarettes will dissuade more young people from picking up the habit. San Diego will soon have a direct connection to Switzerland. Edelweiss Air will fly nonstop between San Diego and Zurich beginning June 9th. The flight will be twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. They'll run through September. Bernd Bauer is the CEO of Edelweiss. He expects about 7,000 Swiss tourists will come to San Diego over the summer. Bauer estimates they'll stay an average of 2 weeks.
Swiss people in average spend much more money than the average Europeans, and we expect an economic impact of about $30 million US.
The flight between San Diego and Zurich will take about 12 hours. Another warm, sunny day in San Diego, but how long will the sunshine stick around? Shanae Shocker lets us know.
Beautiful weather across much of the California coast is going to continue into tomorrow. Not too much going on. We see that area of low pressure has moved in over the Four Corners, bringing some rain out towards areas of eastern Arizona and into Albuquerque, some snow out towards the Rockies. That's going to develop, bringing the potential for some severe weather on the eastern side of the Rockies for much of the south central states. But as far as California is concerned, not much going on. We have some wet weather in the Pac Northwest as another storm ushers on shore, but that jet stream is keeping a lot of that moisture off towards our north. So as far as what we've been looking at for the last few hours or so, not too much on the radar for San Diego County, and I do expect that to continue. So for tonight, we'll start to see clearer skies for our evening hours. So the view of those stars, if you get outside the city, should be quite nice. 54 degrees for your low temperature tonight. Across the county, we are going to be seeing fairly mild temperatures. 40 degrees into Ramona, 44 out towards Alpine, still above freezing into Mount Laguna, 39 degrees. And do keep in mind, it is a little bit breezier out towards the mountains and into the deserts. Borrego Springs, 52 degrees, Oceanside at 45 for your low tonight. Into our Wednesday, we are going to be warming up. Area of high pressure slides inland, and we continue to see that offshore flow bringing warm temperatures all the way from the deserts out towards the coast. That marine layer doesn't have a chance to cool us off throughout the morning hours. So beautiful sunshine in store. Temperatures are going to remain mild, and that's pretty much the story in through our late week as well. So very nice weather to head out to the beach. It is starting to really feel like spring. So we're in those 70s Wednesday into Thursday. We'll have a cool off as a area of low pressure brings just a little bit cooler weather in from the north for our Friday. Partly cloudy skies. We're not expecting any wet weather from this system. Much of that is going to be held off towards our north. However, Saturday and Sunday, temperatures popping back into those 70s. A beautiful weekend out there. So to get out on the boardwalk, go for a walk. 71 degrees for your Saturday. As far as the inland regions are concerned, well, Wednesday, that is the day where it's going to be quite warm out there. Make sure you are drinking plenty of water. We'll cool off into the 70s, low 70s for our Friday, and then we'll be back on the warm up in throughout the weekend as well. Not too much going on to worry about any travel delays out on the roads. Into the mountains on your Friday, we are going to see mostly sunny skies, but highs only getting into the low 50s, and our overnight lows going to stay into the 30s. So keep that light jacket handy. Out towards the deserts, unfortunately, we are at 90 degrees for our Wednesday. For KPBS News, I'm Shanae Shocker.
Many times the abuse took place in my own room, in my own bed. Worse, he abused me in my hotel room in Sydney at the Olympic Games.
Coming up tonight on PBS NewsHour, a sex abuse scandal involving hundreds of women in the USA Gymnastic Organization. One Olympic medalist shares her story. Plus, why Syrian refugees are forced to take low-paying jobs in Turkey. That's tonight on PBS NewsHour, starting at 7, right here on KPBS. California's top judge protested a controversial immigration enforcement practice. From our sister station in San Francisco, KQED political editor Scott Schaefer talks to Chief Justice Tani Cantil-Sacauye about her objections and other challenges facing the California Supreme Court.
I want to ask you first about the letter that you sent recently to the Attorney General and the head of Homeland Security, saying that immigration agents appear to be stalking undocumented immigrants in trial courts. That was a strong word, stalking. Tell me, how did you decide to use that word, and what was the tipping point for you?
Thank you. It is a strong word. I chose it intentionally. I created and ran a domestic violence court, the first of its kind in Sacramento County back in 1998. And so I really understand what stalking means and the fear that it instills in the victim. And so I use that word because it is what's happening. And it may not be what their exact intention is, but that's how victims feel. That's how the public begins to feel about that kind of behavior. The tipping point was reading more and more and more about this happening nationally, and then in Pasadena.
What happened in Pasadena?
In Pasadena, a defense attorney, I think his name is Mr. Chaidez, reported that as he was leaving the courthouse, ICE agents came and arrested his client. Came as a big surprise out of nowhere and on the steps of the courthouse, which gave me great concern because courthouses are where we come and where we encourage people to come for due process and justice, where they report as witnesses, as victims, and that will have a chilling effect.
What are you hoping the letter accomplishes? What do you want ICE to do?
I want ICE to talk about their policy, maybe include some of us or not, but at least take into account that this enforcement tactics in the courthouses has a detrimental effect on safety in the communities because people are no longer going to report. They're not going to cooperate. That means victimization will go unreported in the communities, and the communities are less safe, and they won't come to court because they'll look at the court as bad guys.
ICE says that these are bad guys that they're arresting. By and large, dangerous people, and that they do this only as a last resort, and they blame sanctuary city laws, local laws, and the Trust Act statewide that limits cooperation between local government and federal immigration agents. Is that an excuse? Does that resonate?
Well, the first thing that I take from that response is they have obviously stepped up enforcement activities. That, to me, is an admission of enforcement activity increases, unlike what was happening in the Obama administration. Secondly, it tells me, yes, they are targeting courthouses for whatever reasons they may have. And third, their reasons to me are, well, a justification for why they're going into the courthouses. And again, I accept all that. They've admitted that. But the point is the consequences continues to make communities unsafe, and people will not report. They will not cooperate. There will be fewer witnesses against bad guys. And I can't believe that that would be the intent of their actions if they thought about that.
What are you hearing from other chief justices around the country?
I've heard, for example, that the Washington State Chief Justice, Fairhurst, I believe, has issued a letter along the similar requests and claims as mine, asking ICE to cease and desist. Additionally, I know that the New Mexico Superior Court is hearing many issues and complaints, and they're determining what they can and want to do in this situation. I've read about it in Colorado. I've read about it in Texas. And I know that the chiefs are thinking about this.
The courts are supposed to be above politics. How concerned are you that this sort of blends in with what's happening in the national political scene?
I think for thinking people, they'll realize that this is not about politics. This is about a co-equal branch of government, the judicial branch, asking the executive branch to rethink its enforcement tactics in our branch, because these tactics will undermine the public trust and confidence that the judiciary relies on in order to keep communities safe.
I want to talk about changes on your court. There have been 3 new justices out of the 7 since you got there in 2011, and now there's going to be a 4th.
Yes.
What impact does that have?
Well, it has tremendous impact. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that I also was new. I came first in early 2011. Justice Liu came some months later, and thereafter we had the honor of having Justice Cuellar and Justice Kruger. It's a tremendous change. There's a learning curve just in the culture and tradition and the approach to statewide cases in a highest court. And so we will be, once again, adjusting and learning and teaching from each other. So it's going to be major change, and now you'll know that there's 5 out of 7 justices have changed position now since 2011.
If you're not careful, you're going to become the senior justice.
Isn't that frightening?
What about diversity? I know the Supreme Court is quite diverse, but statewide still, 70% of trial court and 76% of appeals court judges are white. What difference does that make?
Well, I think we do have strength in diversity. But at the same time, California has historically, in the judiciary, been ahead of the country in our rulings in standing up for civil rights and in landmark decisions long before any other state or the United States Supreme Court has acted. On the other hand, I would say that our latest survey shows that diversity is improving and becoming greater in our courts. Women have increased to something like 33%. White males now are at 68%. Latino Hispanic judges are now at 10%. Now, it's true Asian Americans and African Americans and all others have not yet reached double digits, but this governor has been very proactive in diversifying the judicial branch.
Quick question. If justice is supposed to be blind, what difference does it make?
Because
what the racial and ethnic and gender makeup is.
Because justice is supposed to be justice for all, access for all. So that means all representative types, all of us to bring a unique experience and our views and experience to the table.
All right, Chief Justice Tani Cantil-Saka-Ue, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We continue to follow developments on the president's immigration policies on air and online at kpbs.org. Soccer is serious business in Argentina. The country's produced some of the world's greatest players. And AP reporter Manuel Valdez says those high expectations trickle down to the tiniest players.
On the field and on the sidelines, dreams of reaching soccer greatness. But youth soccer in Argentina runs on a whole different level than many other places around the world. After all, this South American country has produced some of the greatest players of all time, like Diego Maradona, and current Barcelona star Lionel Messi.
The environment is very competitive, really very competitive. These kids have a lot of pressure on them, be it in a final or whatever game, from all the parents screaming from the sidelines.
Besides Messi, many Argentines play for Europe's elite leagues, with contracts worth millions of dollars. Former player Lionel Pipa Gancedo says the big payoff is helping fuel the national obsession.
We live in a country where money and success is associated with happiness. The parents associate soccer with that.
At just 7 years old, Benjamin Palandella has already been identified as one of the top players in his youth league. He plays on the same concrete court with the same coach who trains some of the country's best professional players.
I like coaching the kids. I like talking to them. I like to motivate them and to discover a promising player.
But even for talent like Benjamin, success is not certain. A lesson Maria Veronica Rosanda says her son is beginning to learn.
He has started to understand that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. The clearest example was this last World Cup. He understood that even Messi, who's the best in the world, can lose in a final, and that's not the end of the world.
But that perspective can easily get lost on those chasing soccer glory. Manuel Valdez, Associated Press.
Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, fishermen update Sacramento lawmakers on the status of the salmon population, the changes in weather that may play a factor in the fishing season. And on Midday Edition, imagine a debt-free college experience. The plans to help make college more affordable, tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. We leave you tonight with the sights and sounds of Belmont Park in Mission Beach. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening.
I'm a little scared. I'm like super scared.
When we measure them, our hands have to touch that 50 right there. Out of all the ride, it's probably the best one, people would say. Go ahead, put your lap bars down. Check everyone's lap bars.
Welcome to the giant dipper at Belmont Park. For your safety, please keep all body parts inside the tray. Please secure all the side. Enjoy your ride.